Hello and welcome to BW London podcast. So I really just want to talk about the stuff that Kevin Samuels isn't talking about. Right, so are we just going to ignore the fact that most of the people that call up, the females are masculine and the males are feminine? The males are so freaking feminine that call up that show. It makes my body itch. Women call. Somehow Kevin Samuels is not. He's not going to mention that. No. We're not going to bring that up. That all these feminine men are calling up, and why is that? Is it because they are part of the 80% of single parent? Are these single parent household men we're speaking to? Men that come from single parent households? Is that why they're so feminine? It's as if that single parent household gave the women too much masculine, but obviously not quite enough for the men because the boys were not being taught masculinity by a natural man. They were being taught it by their masculine mother. But anyway, I think the boomers, but that they seem to be broken up into boomers 1 and 2, but I'm gonna call them those aged 50 to 66. That's my mom's generation. I'm an 80s baby. I'm 39, 40 next year. All 80s babies are between 30 and 41, I believe, right now. So those boomers, they all seem to have the same story. In the minority, it's the normal story. They got married, they had children, their children done well, and they got married, and so on. And you got level-headed people. Minority. The majority is divided into two, I'd say. One is loads of them got married more than once, like 3 and 4 times. Not uncommon to meet a woman aged between 50 and 66 who's been married like 3, 4 times. Their parents weren't, which Kevin enlightened me to that. What's that generation? The silent generation. They tend to be married once. So the 50 to 66-year-olds, they tend to be married 3 to 4 times. They seem to be terrified of men. Why? Why are they so terrified of men? Why have they taught their daughters that, the women of that generation? Why the color purple generation, you might as well call that lot, boomers 1 and 2. What is this thing? What's this anti-men thing? I'm gonna say it has a lot to do with infidelity. Now, as much as I hear a lot of the red pill environment preaching that the women of old understood that their men came home, and as long as they didn't cheat on them, babies outside, bring home diseases, blah blah blah. But that's the problem. Most of them did fail at these things. They did bring home other babies. I come from a family. My great grandparents have 13 kids, but my actual great granddad has about nearly 20. These are his outside children. Now, from the 13, which are my immediate family, some accept the outside children and some don't. As far as I'm concerned, I learned this very late in life, so I've got a lot of half brothers and sisters. Some accepted me and some didn't, and I didn't understand. But I realized we have the choice as, especially if you come out of marriage, children out of marriage, if the one of those parents are unfaithful and create other children, you have a choice to accept them or not. You are not obliged. Serena Williams, Beyonce's with their dads outside, you're not obliged. But their parents are part of the 50, 66 generation. It caused problems. Now we promote the, oh yes, the high value man has option. All of that's just nonsense anyway. The fact is, infidelity creates drama in families, and it really affects the children. And that's what we see with the generations of Caribbeans and Africans, and I guess African Americans, though they've got a much longer history in these Western countries, but in the Western world, this is what we see, that the boomers were very much affected by the infidelity of the silent generation's infidelity, very much. Because some of my aunties accept the half siblings, some don't. Some uncles do, some don't. It's a drama basically. But anyway, that next generation, for example, my 13 aunties and uncles, from by my great grandparents, some of them are married. Some of them are very anti-marriage and treated very modern. Some very modern women, business-like, very masculine, own like 3, 4 properties, had one child. Nobody knows who the dad is because he was pretty much just a donor. and she's one of the people that doesn't accept the half siblings. She's anti it. It affected her massively. There'll be other factors, but I'm just literally saying it as I see it right now. I'm sure there's many other factors and variables, but so that generation is my mom's generation. That it could have went either way or all, but majority of them ended up either marrying a lot of time, but having a lot of single families, come from single parent families. So those are myself, the 80s babies. And as women, we have legit been taught to dismiss men. They're not relevant. Most of the men around us tend to be quite feminine. I'm only learning now how much men have had to subdue their own real natural ways. Everything's been considered perverted. Everything natural about a man, what a man is, has been just bottled up and sealed. And it's had a great impact, and the impact somehow has made more masculine females confuse females. Today I was watching something on Sean Davis' channel. He's got some BBW part 1 to 3. I'm still in the middle of watching it now. But some black, what do they call it when the women are like men? Whatever they call that. But, you know, she's created some cults where BBWs come and call her daddy, and I'm not even surprised. It doesn't shock me one bit. That's what the 80s babies, they're fatherless. Most of us are fatherless. Even if their fathers are there, they've got multiple baby mothers, tend to have a mixture. It's a lot. Even racially, it's a lot. In speaking of racially, like in the 90s, dark-skinned women, SWV days and all that, dark-skinned women felt more than accepted. We had our own style, our own hair was rocking, we were good. By the early 2000s, you had like Nelly, Snoop Dogg, and all them come out with their videos, and everybody was just light-skinned, and we went down that era. Light skin had happened somewhere in the 90s, but I was like 12, them ages. By the time I was a teenager, ready to hit the road and have a good time, you know, dark skin was a thing. But in 2000, that kind of went away when the girls got seriously naked and were all light-skinned. And then by 2010s, we were done with the black race completely. It was like Kardashian time. And it was anything that could pass as ambiguous. Puerto Rican, Asian, I don't know, anything ambiguous. Not quite black, even not black anymore, but a bit of a tan. And that's kind of 2020s. I guess we're yet to see it play out, because in the era of Kevin Samuels, you know, I don't know what's about to play out right now. But the 80s babies, parents, and they were hard workers. They were really, really hard workers. And their children resented it. They didn't feel like, I mean, this is what I remember culturally. They didn't feel like what they worked for was worth it, and they were determined to do less for more. Determined. Hence the beginning of the dreamers, the dreaming generation. Us 80s babies, if anyone from the 80s, they don't know. There was a saying called, do you think you're going to make it? Do you think you're going to make it? Are you going to make it? I think they're going to make it. Make it meant be a celebrity, be known on TV, have lots of money, not even realizing that that's a whole Illuminati governmental or controlled world that you have no part of, unless you legit have been given access and you are on the verge of being sacrificed at any time. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, we weren't aware of none of that. But are you going to make it was a thing. And being a doctor, an engineer, that wasn't making it. Making it was being seen on TV. This was the truth. This was the truth out there. 80s babies were the make it generation. And this was the birth of the Pookies and Ray Rays and the boss chick woman in abundance. This was the birth of it. The are you going to make it clan. Because the men wanted to be rappers, they wanted to be popular, that's all they revolved their world around. They were not in reality. And the women, I'm not really sure where they were at, but I know where they're at now in the 2020s. Bunch of dreamers, deluded women, all over Kevin Samuels flipping YouTube and Instagram. Deluded women. those that came out of the game, let's be serious. If you get to a certain point in your life where you're making a certain amount of money and you're in certain circles, even let's just say you're a doctor and you're in a particular circle of surrounded by doctors, there might be one or two other male or female black doctors, and you're not or female, and you're not necessarily attracted to one another. So yes, there has been an abundance of biracial relationships, mixed relationships, creating biracial children and stuff. Not even just because black women are so disagreeable and can't be found. Yes and no, but people do tend to marry within their field in professions, somewhere within their field. And you're limited as a black person or as a person of color of is available in your field. So I think that has a lot to do with a lot of the mixed couples, because as you enter different circles, there's just less of your own people there. It is what it is, and the chances of finding a relationship and making children with somebody outside of your race is more likely to happen. But as well as other factors such as struggling with black women or black men, and so on. But yeah, I just think we're looking at this situation a lot too simply. We're looking at it purely from the woman's angle and what she's done. Black women are no exception to any other woman of any other race. So there's no specific reason like, oh, black women, you chose to refuse help from your black men and became more interested in government. And no, there's more to it. Black women are no exception to women. Women are women. And I just don't think we look at that deeply enough at all. I don't think we consider the men and the men that have created the majority of the babies, even if they are the 20%. Why so many of them are gay and feminine? Obviously, it's because they come from single parent households. But there's, again, more to it. There's conspiracy in here. Real conspiracy. The word conspiracy, I mean, people hear it as, oh, woohoo. I hear it as the truth, really. What's really going on. So yeah, I wanna talk about this topic so much bigger, from so many more angles, without accusing anyone. Oh, black men, black women. Yes, there's been a mess up. Black women. Yes, lots. Let's receive the accountability. But can we get to the root of the story, the heart of the story? What's really going on? What influences really created this? And in terms of changing it, no, changing it is not, oh, men give up, all black women are deluded, oh, now you must stay outside of your race. And no, you will just end up being the black grandparent on the wall to this white blonde family. Stop being stupid. Let's get to the root and the heart if we really are about black communities coming together and progressing and moving forward. Yes, a lot of black women are crazy, and no, a black man shouldn't have to wait around and decide. If that means that, listen, I've got sons, if there is no black women available and they end up with women of other races, no, it's not the best options, because you will wash out and be the black parent on the wall that is like a dinosaur, like, oh yeah, I remember that black grandparent apparently, but the family's now white. If that happens, it happens. But that is not the first choice. If we really are about bringing our communities together, let's get to the heart of the problem. Something went wrong with the boomers, which is actually Kevin Samuels. Is it his generation? I think so. But something went wrong with that lot. Yeah, 50 to 66. Something went wrong. You lot, the black men are very feminine. They really hate black women. The black women are very pissed off and angry and taught their daughters to just get educated and have a safety plan away. Why did they think black men were so scary? What was so scary about their parents? Because our dads didn't have us feeling like girls. We didn't have the princess daddy. No, we're just a strong black woman out here, all strong, with no protection, because we can do all bad by ourselves. This whole story there's real stuff behind it, and it doesn't just affect the black community, it actually affects people generally, especially women, because although black women and white women didn't have the same fight, ultimately in this modern day and age, we're following the same walk of life that is leaving us single, lonely, depressed. Do you know what I mean? We've got to change some shit. Got to change. All right, well, I don't feel like I got everything out what I was meant to say, but I speak from the heart. I just go with it. So hopefully I, hit some points there. And if anyone got this far, thank you for listening.